Hello, everyone. This is Cody Zapherson, and this is my witness and testimony of King Yeshua, the true Messiah. So, I grew up in a small town. It was kind of in between a rural and an urban area, pretty low key, not a lot of crime. I had a good childhood, and um, my parents took good care of me. I never was hungry or without uh, shelter and clothing and all the uh, basic necessities. They always took care of me. um, and yet in my childhood, into my adolescence and teenage years, there was just this growing emptiness in me and just this depression and despair and just anguish. I just felt like an outcast everywhere. I always felt like I didn't belong. It didn't really matter what friend group I ended up with. Um, Even as a young kid, 5, 6 years old, um, into middle school and into high school. It just felt like my whole life I never belonged. I felt like I was always kind of the odd man out and the butt of the joke. Like as friends, you bust each other's balls and make fun of each other, but like I don't know, I just always felt like they were laughing at me, not it wasn't the same. Um, so I always felt so lonely throughout my whole life. And around fifth grade, um, I or maybe it was fourth grade. I started to leading up to fourth grade. I started to get strep throat a lot, almost once every month, and for almost a year, maybe more. I had my tonsils removed, and then I started getting vitiligo, which is where the pigment in your skin just dies. So I had spots appearing on my head, and my hair started turning white in a lot of sections. And of course, this didn't help throughout middle school and all of that. I felt even more isolated and you know just like a weirdo. People would always ask me about it, and so I started dyeing my hair. So fifth grade into sixth grade, I started to skateboard and started kind of going down that road of rebellion and um, just going to hang out with friends and, getting kicked out of different places. We were trying to go skateboard and, you know, do different tricks and, different businesses were kicking us out. Cops were, harassing us. And, then probably around, I think it was eighth grade into high school, um, was where I started to smoke weed, and things just kind of had just been progressively getting worse from fifth grade to eighth grade and into high school. So I started to smoke weed, and then I started hanging out with a different group of friends then, and you know yet again, I still felt like the outcast. Never felt like I belonged with them or anybody. And as high school progressed, I started to get into other drugs. I started to do pills and painkillers and Xanax and things like that. And eventually, um, I tried some psychedelics. I tried acid. I tried ecstasy. Cocaine. That was all towards the end of high school. And during this time, I had a very strained relationship with my parents, and they wanted the best for me and they wanted me to, do well. And I just wanted to rebel. I wanted to be out of the house. I didn't want to be home at all. I wanted to be hanging out with my friends and, um, doing drugs and all this kind of stuff, right? And I wanted to go party and meet girls and all this kind of thing. And just this emptiness again just kept growing. This loneliness. I always felt so lonely, even when people were around. And going into so I graduated from high school, and naturally I wanted to go away to college because get me out of the house, get me out of here. But I didn't. I went to community college for the first semester, and I end up dropping out, and eventually kind of was kicked out. But really, I mean, it was really my own choice. I was given an ultimatum of basically, follow our rules or get out. So I really can't say I was kicked out. I left because I didn't want to. I didn't want to follow the rules anymore. I wanted to go do what I wanted to do, and I wanted to rebel pretty much. And there was um, just a lot of struggle between me and my parents at that time. And so I left, and I lived out of my car, and I stayed at friends' places, and I stayed in my car, and I worked, and um, eventually started selling pot, and um, did that for a while. That was probably 6 months that I was living out of my car, and eventually I just got tired of it. I was exhausted. I was, just a total nomad, and I had nowhere to go. And eventually I, made amends with my parents and came back home, which is when I went to the next community college. And so to, I went there for, I believe it was about a year or so. Um, so this is like, 18 up to like 20. And as I'm at community college, I get a job with a beer distributor. And so I'm working with them, and I'm underage still. So I'm getting free booze from the dumpster because we're throwing stuff away that's old beer that, was expired and the stores had to send it back. So I'm getting trunk loads of free beer. So I'm just handing this out to friends, and, and I'm selling weed, and I'm, I feel like I'm on top of the world. I'm doing all kinds of pills, and um, you know, basically just supplying my own habit and just living it up, quote unquote. Even though it was still totally miserable. And I end up dating this girl for a little bit. She cheated on me multiple times, broke my heart. Um, then leading into the community college, I eventually leave for UConn, which is a college in Connecticut. So, I kind of I finished my associate's degree or whatever, and I transferred up to UConn, right? And so I get up there, and I've got all this freedom now. And within a few months of being there, the UConn men's basketball team wins the championship, and it's just total, just chaos up there, just partying and just debauchery, and yeah. So I go into this kind of spiral of just even more smoking and drinking and drugs, and I'm meeting all these new people, and I'm starting to sell drugs, and I'm just going down a terrible path. And um, it just continues, into the following year. So I do my first year there. The second year, I move off campus, and I'm stepping it up even more. I know more people. I'm selling drugs to all these different people in all these frats, and I know a lot of people now, and I'm making all kinds of money, and I'm doing all kinds of drugs, and I'm really just miserable. And then I lose both of my grandfathers and my cousin, all within, I want to say, like a 6 month time span. And I went even deeper into despair and just loneliness, depression, just felt horrible. And just couldn't make sense of it at all. I really looked up to my cousin, and um, he was one of he was one of my family members that I was closest to, and so him dying so young was just heartbreaking, and I didn't know how to make sense of any of it. Um, so I continue to do drugs, and eventually I move home for my final year of college, and I finish up there. Um, and when I get there, I end up finding a job at this startup company, which was a liquor rebate app company. So just around more booze, right? More substance. So I spend a year and a half there, and um, I spent the next, I guess, three years between that company and another one, both startup companies, very very beginning stages. So just learning a lot in terms of how to build company infrastructure and all this kind of thing, and but still continuing down that road of just doing a lot of drugs and drinking and just despair. And eventually, um, I just got tired of at the second company. I just got tired of being overworked and promised, all these different things. Oh, you're going to get stock in the company and this and that, and never. They just didn't deliver on any of these promises, right? So like, I just got tired of it, and so did a lot of people. There was like a mass exodus from the second company. But so I leave, and I decide, you know, I always love travel, right? So I set my heart on doing a road trip around the country. I'm like, I've got money saved up. I have a solid car. I got to get out of here. I just was looking for escape. So I end up traveling all around the country for a number of months, and I end up all the way on the West Coast. I eventually randomly make my way over to Kauai, Hawaii, and absolutely fall in love with it there. Um, I spent a week out there, staying in a hostel, and just fell in love with the island. And always loved the palm trees and the ocean and the mountains. It has mountains on the island too. It was just beautiful, and lots of hiking, and just very outdoorsy. Lots of great food, farmers markets. So it was very enticing to me. So at this time, I'm kind of like slowing down on the drug. I had slowed down on all the drugs and stuff. Like I was still smoking weed, but like I wasn't doing like hard drugs anymore. I stopped doing like cocaine and all these things, and ketamine and all these like hard drugs. I completely burnt them out. I did them to exhaustion. I was done with them. So um, now I start going down this road of new age. I get out there, and um, I think shortly prior to that time, I had started doing a little bit of yoga to help my back because I was having some back issues. And so I started going down this road of these different practices, and Kauai was really pushed me in that direction. I met some very interesting people there. Um, you know, they're doing astrology readings, and you're getting introduced to all these practices, and people are talking about star seeds, and aliens and all kinds of stuff that I had never really been exposed to before, right? And so this is about 2017 into 2018. And then, so I come back and I end up going to Asheville, North Carolina. I lived there for almost a year. I worked with my uncle helping renovate properties and um, just got deep into yoga. I mean, I was like practicing, I was going to like 6, 7 classes a week, every single day, just doing hot yoga. Um, I started getting into fasting and my diet and kind of like um, self improvement type stuff, and like just really trying to eat clean and be healthy and be in shape and this kind of thing, right? Thinking that this is the route that's going to help me. I just need to clean out my body and all these toxins and blah, blah, blah. So I really started going that direction. And so I lived down there for about a year. I ended up coming back up to Connecticut because my parents were selling our childhood home, and the work had kind of just didn't pan out down there. So I couldn't find a good solid job, and I was looking for something remote, and I couldn't find anything. So I moved back up, and I helped them, clear the house out and move and all this kind of stuff. And we go. Or so then I get a place, I get my own apartment, and I end up landing this job. And this is the end of 2019, right? So COVID is just starting to get talked about at the end of 2019. I take another trip after I help my parents move. I take another trip back to Kauai. I go to Colorado and then Kauai, and I kind of have my eye set on this place, and I'm like, I think I want to move here. Like I really like it here, and I'm not happy back where I am. I'm not happy in Connecticut, and so I come back, and I get this job, and I have my heart kind of set on it. And then so 2019 into 2020, and I'm like just starting to wake up at this time. Like I'm reading some books about like the American Empire and different things like that. Um, but then once COVID hits in 2020, like our company goes totally remote, and I just completely go down the rabbit hole. I mean, I'm just researching for days and days and days. I just the thought came into my head, like if we're going to be locked down well, at first, I'll be honest, at first I was pretty scared for the first month or two, and then I'm like, if we're going to be locked down like this, I need to know what's going on. I keep hearing about this like New World Order and Illuminati and stuff, but like I never done any research into this stuff, right? So I just start researching, and I'm just going down the rabbit hole, just looking at everything I can, and like I'm just getting like I'm in shock. I'm completely in shock as to what I've been totally blind to my entire life. Like all this stuff is true. Like, all these people running, all the positions of power in our world are just completely corrupted, you know, devil worshiping child rapists pretty much. And I'm totally shocked, and I'm afraid. And so this is, yeah, 2020. Um, at that time, my roommate just pretty much moved his girlfriend into our apartment. So I'm just feeling like it's really too tight in here. It's time for me to go. So I move up to Cape Cod where my parents have a house. And so I'm just renting from them a little bit and staying there. And, this is the summer into the fall and winter of 2020. And I'm totally just continuing down the rabbit hole. And now I'm like alone. I don't really know anybody up here, and it's starting to change. It's going into fall, and I'm just continuing to research, and there's like no hope that I can see. And I started getting to videos about Revelation. Like I was just researching a lot about, like, I could see that Israel was behind a lot of what was going on in our government. And I could see that a lot of people didn't see that. And I found it very interesting that people were very like blinded to that fact and like thought that Trump was going to save us and all this stuff. And I don't know. That was one thing I could never wrap my mind around. I saw his connections to Israel and, all these different people in the past. And anyways. So I, so I'm up there in Cape Cod and I start going to, there's a little herb shop there. And so I start going to hang out there because I had been there a few times. Cape Cod had been a childhood vacation spot. So I've been going there for years. So I go to this place and I meet Donna and her daughter Tina. And we become really close friends. And so I'm helping out at the herb shop and you know, I'm working remote at this time. So I'm just working from the shop and helping out a little bit here and there and just hanging out, and just happy to have some friends and, really cool people that are on the same page and understand what's going on. And, you know, we're not sitting there like freaking out, masked up and all this stuff. So I'm just grateful for some good friends at this time. And then I start going to yoga because yoga starts opening up again, right? And that's when I meet my ex. And I walk into this yoga class, and before I even walked in, I looked at the class, and I could see when I looked at her name, I just knew. I don't know. I just knew there was something, and so I go in there and I walk in, and there's this beautiful woman, and I take her yoga class, and we talk a little bit after, just briefly, and I'm like head over heels for this chick, and you know, I have no idea what I'm in for, no idea. So I start going to yoga classes daily, and I'm like going to every class I can and looking for every opportunity to talk to her. And we're talking for 5 minutes after class, then it's 10 minutes, then it's an hour, 3 hours. I mean, or well, it didn't quite get there yet, but so I asked her about, I asked her out, and she told me that she was in a relationship, but they were separated. They were seemed like they were in the process of breaking up, so she couldn't go out. So for some reason, I left knowing that I don't know. I just felt like it was going to work out anyways, and I wasn't discouraged by it. Um, so I end up, continuing to go to class, and then eventually, like her and her boyfriend separated, and we start seeing each other, and I'm like, this is awesome. This is like I feel like I met my future wife, and like, you know, we're 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 so like, we're so similar, and we have all the same interests, and there's just this connection there, right? And so I spend the next few months seeing her, and eventually she basically, I'm telling her about Kauai at the same time, and she eventually tells me that she, you know, is going to move there and that she's going to leave. Like she's ready to get off Cape Cod. She's lived there her whole life. And, you know, I had already set my heart on going there, and I've kind of told myself if this doesn't work out with her, then maybe that's where I should go. So I just hop on the boat. I'm like, all right, I'm going to Kauai too. And so we're both moving there. It's basically not together because at this time now, like she's like trying to break things off. She wants to go do her own thing, and I'm just like, you know, whatever. So I'm going to Kauai. So I go there and she comes shortly after me. I mean, things were like locked down at this time. You had to do a 10-day quarantine. We get there and she, we just end up reconnecting immediately. And, it's like different place. We're on this island, and there was clearly a strong connection between us. So we end up seeing each other, And eventually we decide, let's just get a place together. So we get this beautiful apartment, and, you know, we're living it up in Kauai. I've got the remote job, the girl, the beautiful place, the island. There's all this amazing, vibrant food there. And I pretty much buried my head, when it came to doing research anymore. I was just like, you know, I got it figured out. I'm going down this route over here, and when I met her, she introduced me to Kundalini. Um, so I'm just starting to go further and further down this new age path. And as that happens, um, we're seeing each other, right? This is the summer. This is we moved there in March of 2022, or I'm sorry, 2021, and then so this is all the way up until the end of 2022, right? So I'm meeting all these people and going to these ceremonies and healings and you name it, just kind of diving into whatever I can, sweat lodges and um, just exploring all kinds of different stuff that I've never really been exposed to. And um, when I get into something, I do it all the way. So like I'm not a halfway person. I'm all in. So, you know, I'm trying Bufo, which is like where you burn frog medicine. I won't even call it, it's not even medicine. It's poison. You burn it on your skin and it makes you purge and all this crazy stuff. And so like we're coming to the end of 2021, and my ex is working at this Kauai Juice Co. Right, and it's like the spot on the island. Everybody knows Kauai Juice Co. They've got all these awesome juices, fresh fruit from the island, and she's meeting all kinds of people there all the time. Right, this guy comes in and introduces himself and wants to hire her as his health coach. And so she comes back and tells me about this one day in like October of 2021. And I immediately I got a bad feeling about this, right? Like just my, the red flags are going off. And so to boot, this guy, his name is Alex also, but he calls himself Zela. He reversed his name, Xela. Uh, on top of that, this guy has an owl tattooed on his leg, just like I do, um, which very bizarre. They're not even. I won't even call them a coincidence. I don't know what to call it, but so there's this weird dynamic there, right? So like, so she goes to his house to work as his health coach. And the night that she came back, like total, I just felt like total bad vibes, like it's totally sketchy. Um, it didn't even sound like her talking. Like when she came back, I like legitimately felt like there was a spirit speaking through her. Like she started talking about like, I just want to be free and all this kind of stuff. And knowing what I know now, I think that a demonic spirit had entered her and was speaking through her. It sounded like a total fallen, what a fallen angel would say, honestly, like just wanting to be free from the heavenly Father. And not that she said that specifically, but she just kept talking about wanting to be free and to do her thing, and just really weird. Um, so over the next couple months, she's over there, you know, being this guy's health coach. She's cooking for him and he's paying her crazy amounts of money, throwing crazy amounts of money at her to do this. And we end up going home for Christmas that year. Didn't know it was a pagan holiday yet. And when this is where things just really started to fall apart. On the way there, my suitcase got lost. We got back. We hang out with both of our families towards the end of the trip. I get like violently sick, like right before we leave. And so we head back to Kauai at the end of the trip. And I'm like so ill just in the airport, and they delay our flight like I think like 10 hours or something. So I'm like laid up in San Francisco airport overnight, just like feeling like I'm dying. And we get back, they lost my suitcase again. I had rented my vehicle while I was away to make some money, and the people that rented it totally trashed it. They did like $2,000 worth of damage. They like did something to the wheel. I don't know if they hit something, whatever. So my vehicle's out of commission, um, and I'm waiting on parts to come from some other island. So it's like a 6 week wait time and all this stuff. And so I actually have, this is January into February of 2022. And I have my sister, my two college roommates, and then my cousin all coming back to back in February. So 1 week, 10 days, another week. Like I have like a month worth of guests that I'm about to host. So I need a car, right? So I buy this like little rusted out island beater for $1,000, totally ridiculous car. Um, and just 2 days before my sister arrives, my ex approaches me and says, I want an open relationship. And I'm just completely shocked. I'm like, what are you talking about? You know? And she had been talking about this, you know, how she's met people that are into it over the last few months. And I don't know. I had a bad feeling the whole time. So she drops this on me right when my sister is about to come. And I'm like, I got no idea. Like, you know, like I'm not into that. That's not my thing. Like I've never been like one of those guys that wants to just go sleep around with a bunch of women or, you know, have open relationships. Like, not my thing. But in the new age, that's a big thing. And, you know, everybody will just, you know, we'll all just love each other. You know, we can all just have sex with everybody, you know. That's what they believe. And so my little sister gets there, and 2 days in, I'm out with my sister, and my ex is at Zayla's house, and she comes back, and we all go, the three of us, my sister and her and myself, go out to dinner. And she's just being weird, right? We get back to the house, and she just pours it out to me. She goes, you know, he made a move on me and I didn't really stop him. And so, like, you know, basically she cheated on me, and, you know, I'm totally crushed, right? And then she gives me this ultimatum of, I want an open relationship or I'm leaving. So I'm like, I have no idea what to do. I've got, you know, 30 days of entertaining guests in our small apartment. And I now need to just decide if I want to let my girlfriend go have sex with somebody else. And as a, you know, spineless piece of garbage, I agreed to it because I didn't know what to do and I didn't want to lose her. I thought I was going to marry this woman. And I did not realize at the time what I was doing, but I'll get into that a little bit more later. Um, but I verbally agreed to allowing her to have sex with other people, to have this open relationship. And so now I'm hosting friends and family while she's out banging this guy, and I'm just completely crushed. And I don't know what to do. I pretty much just, I'm looking for anything to be okay with this situation, right? Like I'm looking for healing, you know, quote unquote. So like um as the guests leave, I end up starting to, well, so we start separating, right? Like this just doesn't go well. We're still together, but she moves out, and we're still seeing each other. But it's just getting messy, and like I'm just more and more hurt as time's going on. And so I start looking for everything that I can do to heal or to be okay. So I'm doing ayahuasca, um, doing what do you call it? Bufo, combo, um, sitting in sweat lodges. I did peyote. I mean, you name it. I just, you know, doing huge um, doses of mushrooms, all kinds of stuff. I didn't care what it was. I was like, I need to fix this. I gotta be okay with this because I can't lose her. So eventually, as you know, the months progress, I just I'm like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. This is just it's breaking my heart. I don't want this. So I cut things off. Um, oh, in the course of this time too, this was a trip. Um, she she was still living at the house actually, and I went out one day. She was out already. She was actually at the beach, and I forget what I was doing, but I went out and I'm driving and I see this guy hitchhiking, and I usually picked people up because it's just a small island and it's most everybody's pretty cool. And I start pulling over, and as soon as I pull over, I immediately regret the decision. I've never regretted picking somebody up to hitchhike until that day. I look at this guy and he's got a smile on, but like there was just something so off about this guy. So I pick him up, I drive him up, I drop him off at the end of this road that leads to a beach, Anini Beach. And before he leaves, he gets my phone number. I'm like, great, why the heck did I give him my phone number? So I give him my phone number, he leaves, and he disappears. And the very next day, I'm working in the morning, and I get a text message from this guy, and he said, "Hey, Alex, I wrote you a poem." And I start reading it, and I'm like, "Oh no, I don't." I'm like, I don't know if this is a curse or what." I at this time I had some kind of a discernment, I suppose. Um, and I start telling my ex about this, and she was like, "Was his name so and so?" And I'm like, "Huh? How do you know his name?" I can't remember what it was, but she's like, "He walked up to me on the beach yesterday and said something about my legs." So I picked this dude up, drove him up, dropped him off at the end of the road. He walked down this entire beach, which is one of the biggest beaches on the island, by the way, and a lot of people go to. And he walked directly up to my ex and made some comment to her. I can't prove this, but I think that was a demon in the flesh. I really do. I've never experienced anything quite that weird. Anyways, just wanted to throw that in there. Uh, so so yeah, I break things off. I'm just focusing on me at this time. You know, I can't deal with her doing this. Sleeping around thing. So I'm just focusing on healing, just going harder and harder. Um, Summer's going by, and I'm in the sweat lodge daily and doing all these ceremonies and all kinds of stuff. And I'm just broken. I'm hurting. I'm a mess. And on the outside I probably didn't look so much like that, but I was. And I decide that um, I'm going to go do this peyote ceremony, right? And a couple of days before, I end up getting burnt going into one of the sweat lodges. I stepped on a coal, and I was tending the fire, and um, I got burnt pretty good. I stepped on a coal, and some other ashes or embers burnt my leg pretty good. That ended up getting infected with staph infection. So I was laid up, and just trying to heal this. I didn't believe in antibiotics and all this other kind of thing. So I'm like using all the, aloe and noni and eating very specifically to basically not feed this staph infection. And this is leading up to me flying home to go to my sister's wedding. Um, so I end up, I I heal up and I fly home, and I'm home for a couple days. And 2 days before my sister's wedding, I drove to Cape Cod to go and see Donna. And I go to Donna's, and she starts telling me about this book she read, and it's called the Dark Light series by Stuart Best. And I think every believer should read it. It's it's all about the narrow way, and about our spiritual journey, and um, how we need to make peace with the Father and reconcile with Him through Yeshua, Jesus. And so she's telling me about this book, and I mean, the veil just gets ripped off. Like I just know that I know what she's telling me is the truth. And I know that everything I've been practicing for the past 5, 7 years, you know, all this stuff was a total lie. Like, okay, this is why I never received any healing. This is why I'm still broken, even though I do all these ceremonies and all these different things. It's because it's all a lie. It's because Yeshua, Jesus, is the way and the only way to the Father. And so the veil is just completely ripped off in that moment that she's telling me about this. And so she sends me the recordings. And, so I'm listening to these, and I go home that night and I'm listening to them, and um, I go to my sister's wedding, and, you know, all this kind of thing. And like, so all this stuff is happening, and I'm just like, I'm totally like, I don't know. I'm like so disconnected from everything going on, like wedding and all this stuff. Like I'm totally disconnected from all of it, because I'm just like, everything I've ever known is a lie. I'm just like seeing all this stuff for the first time. And all these realizations, and like all these times I could see that Yeshua was trying to reach me. He had been coming up over and over for the past like 2, 3 years in all these different ways. Um, and they started coming to me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, he's been knocking. He's been trying to get my attention for years now, And I could see all the times that I, flipped cars and, did drugs and should have died, and that was all him. He saved me from all of that. He protected me from all of that. So I'm just like, I'm in total shock. And then just I just start getting so afraid. The realization of hell is just becoming so clear to me. Like, yeah, that's a real place, and we're all condemned. We all deserve to go to hell and be there forever, to be without our Heavenly Father and Yeshua. And I'm just like devastated, because I I didn't realize it until sometime later, but like I've dealt with a rejection and fear of rejection my whole life. And I never really understood that until Yeshua showed that to me later down the road. But, that was like the ultimate rejection. I felt so rejected. Like I finally realized that there is a God, and he condemned me. And I'm terrified. And so I go back to Kauai and pretty much pack up my things, and I'm going to move back to uh, the continental U.S. I had gone to visit some friends in Virginia when I was here for my sister's wedding, and I'm like, that looks great. It's rural, it's quiet. I liked the town. I'm like, I'm moving there. I'm moving. I'm going into the woods basically, and so I moved down there for a little bit, and I'm just getting absolutely just tormented by demons. I didn't know it at the time, but I was in total fear. And um, So I'm I'm reading the dark light in the Bible, the scriptures, and just starting to look for Yeshua. Um, but I'm in so much fear, and eventually I just I started getting attacked in my sleep, having all these horrible dreams, um, really really dark dreams, and then I would get I would kept they would keep me awake, and then they would put me to sleep, give me a super demonic dark dream, and then wake me up, and then I was up for the whole night. So I was getting no sleep, um, and I was just wore out. So I end up moving. I leave Virginia. I had just rented an apartment. I tell her I can't do this. I got to go. I move up to Cape Cod, and Donna helps put me up on the farm property where the herb shop is. And so I'm living there, and I'm still in just so much fear. And I didn't realize it at the time, but Yeshua was working on me. He was slowly working on me, and all that fear was such a blessing, and all the attacks and all these things were such a blessing because it really pushed me towards him. And of course, I didn't see that at the time, but I can see that looking back now. And so I'm living there, and I'm just seeking Yeshua. I'm praying. I'm in isolation pretty much. I was at the herb shop or the property, and then eventually moved over to Donna's, and stayed in her guest room. And um, around I guess it was May of 2023, I take a trip. I just get an Airbnb for like 10 days. And I was kind of like, enough is enough, like I fasted, I read scripture, and I prayed and I prayed and I prayed. And a lot of this heaviness started to come off of me. And again, I still didn't recognize that was Yeshua, but um, he was working on me. He was slowly working on me at the pace that I could handle. And so I come back, and you know, this is the summer of 2023, and I'm seeking after him. I'm seeking after him, and I'm still there. Just still feels like such a disconnect. And towards the end of the year, this was around November, we were talking about James 5:16 in one of our meetings. Confess your sins to one another and pray for one another so that you may be healed. And that scripture stuck in my mind for a couple of weeks. And eventually I said, you know what do I have to lose? I wrote down, a bunch of my sins, and I just brought them to temple one night and just started reading them and just confessing them before everybody. And I started to get emotional, and I had felt like so locked up emotionally. Like I felt like I couldn't cry. I was on all this fear, but I still couldn't cry. There wasn't a lot of emotion. I just felt like closed off. And I started to get emotional, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. I'm like, maybe there is something to this. So um, I decide, all right, I'm gonna talk to my parents. I need to get right with my parents. I did a lot of crap when I was a kid. I was a really rebellious kid, and I lied to them about a lot of things. So I agree to meet them, in Rhode Island at their house one weekend, and I go down there, and I just start confessing all this stuff to them, and in the midst of that, I start burping, which sounds weird, but um, I know that Yeshua was delivering me in that moment. I started feeling like this total peace come over me, and I felt joy. And I'm like talking about my parents about some really serious things that I did, and it was a serious conversation. I'm like trying to hold back a smile because I'm like, oh my gosh, like he's healing me, he's delivering me right now. This is awesome. And it was so cool. And I could feel him working in that room because like I was talking about demons and things like that. And my parents were like receptive to stuff, and like we're talking about my cousin and how he had, I'm like, those are demons tormenting him and making him drink and this and that. And um, they were like, yeah, yeah, and it was just like I felt like Yeshua was working in the room, like they were like open, to all this stuff that they didn't ever seem like they were. So um, so yeah, so that happens, right? I go back home, and I'm watching all these videos on deliverance. Like I need to be delivered, like there's got to be more. There's got to be more. I'm feeling like there has to be more that I need to be delivered from, and I end up what's it called? I'm renouncing and doing all this stuff, and nothing's really happening, and I end up one night I'm in prayer, and it's probably like 10 o'clock at night, and it hits me again. Oh, I need to write a list. There's more people that I need to make amends with, right? So I write like 10 names down on this list. And then my hand just darts up to the top of the list, and I start writing Zela, Xela. And as soon as I start writing that on the list, my heart started beating out of my chest. Okay. And like the whole room just got thrown into total chaos. And mind you, this is 10 o'clock at night, quiet, nothing's going on, but I could feel the spirit, and it was just chaos in that room. My stomach was in knots. I felt like I was going to throw up, like heart's beating like crazy. I never felt anything like this. And I realized this is a demon manifesting in me right now. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to forgive this guy. I absolutely hate him. I hate him so much for what he did with my ex. And so I immediately get on Instagram, and, he's in Hawaii, so it's 5 hours earlier, right? So I'm messaging him, and I'm like, hey, can I please talk to you on the phone? And I'm just praying. I'm like, you know, Heavenly Father, can you please connect me with him tonight so I can forgive him and, just let all this go. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to sleep like this. Like I can't fall asleep right now. And, so I, so then it hits me again. Well, this is what you asked for, right? You said you didn't care what it took. You wanted to make peace with the Father. You wanted a relationship with Yeshua. So I just started thanking him. Thank you for this. Thank you for this discomfort, this, whatever. I'm just giving thanks. And then it hits me again. I need to pray for him, and I need to pray for her. So I started praying for them. Some of the most earnest prayers that ever came out of me, and I'm just praying for their salvation. Father, please open their eyes. Please save them. They need you. And um, I was just, I just started bawling my eyes out. And I started burping 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times, just burping and burping. And mind you, I hadn't ate anything that day either, actually. And so I knew that wasn't normal. I didn't have indigestion. And as I'm burping, such a peace came over me. I felt so at peace. And the room just went quiet, just so calm and quiet. And again, there was nothing going on in the room, but you could feel the spirit of it. And it went from total chaos to total peace, total quiet. Um, so, I had been kind of seeking this like mountaintop moment, and it was just boom, there it was. It was like, it made me feel like safer with Yeshua. It made me feel like, okay, he's hearing my prayers, like he's listening to me. And um, so then from there on, like, gosh, I mean, I spent the next year or so on Cape Cod, or well, I guess that was 2023. So then, um, so the end of 2023 into 2024, um, we're kind of looking to, me and Donna are talking about, maybe heading out to Pennsylvania to maybe find a house, um, find something, get off the Cape kind of thing. And So we go out and we're looking around for houses. Nothing's really working out. We come back. Then around April, I think it was April, I end up going back out there for like 2 months on my own. And uh, things were pretty quiet. I'm still seeking Yeshua, and come back around June, and we decide to make the move, right? So we're gonna put her house on the market and get ready to move out there. Go start going to look. Um, so we you know, spent that month just getting the house ready, and then fast forward into the beginning of 2025, I think it was. Yeah. We moved out, and just still seeking after Yeshua, still seeking after him. Um, just a really, really challenging year. It feels like nothing is working, right? Like everything I do just breaks. Everything's just, there's constant issues, and I just feel like I'm fighting constantly. And, I still just feel this disconnect. I still feel like I don't know. I just feel this distance between me and Yeshua, and I just know there's something I can't figure it out. And but I just keep seeking Him, keep asking, keep praying, and then around, gosh, I think it was like August of 2025. Um, I end up at a friend's house, and some things got cleared up. There was some issues that Yeshua was clearing up, and basically I was given the word that you know I would be ready in a month. And so about I'm eagerly waiting. Okay, all right, I'm counting the days. And that following month I end up getting into this book, and I realized that, or so I start having all these realizations in this book. It seems like there's things that are, oh yeah, like I do this, I do that, not realizing that there's all this new age in the book. It's all about changing yourself, and like pretty much in Jesus's name, right? So it was total new age wrapped in Yeshua and Jesus, and really no mention of him in the book. But I kind of had the blinders on. I'm just looking for what's going to help me, right? So I'm kind of brushing past that stuff. Um, I almost commit the unpardonable sin through, yeah, through this whole situation with the book, right? Um, and I mean, I can't tell you, that was like one of the lowest I've ever felt, like that when that all hit me, when that was revealed to me. Um, I was in just, I felt like I was like in the Slough of Despond, from Pilgrim's Progress. Like I was just covered in quicksand. And so I spent 2 days um, at the house, and, you know, there's all these things that have kind of come up. I'm a control freak and all this stuff, that like I'm just holding on to still. And there was so much, over the course of these couple of years. I can't go into all of it right now, but so it ends up coming to me that I have hatred for the Father for condemning me. And so I confess that to him. And man, that was a really, really hard one to know that was in my heart, and this whole time I'm seeking after Yeshua and trying to build a relationship with him, and, you know, not even realizing that I had hatred towards the Father. And what did he do? He turned around and forgave me and accepted me and brought me closer. and made me a citizen in his kingdom. And oh man, that kind of love just like that does something to you. It's like no love on this earth. That's for sure. Um, and that's what Dark Light talks about, the difference between filial love or man's love and agape love, you know, God or the Father and Yeshua's love. Um, and we ain't got love. We do not have love in our hearts. We just don't. It's when we were cursed back in the garden, we lost that ability to love. And Yeshua is the only one that can give that to us. But so yeah, I mean, he forgave me and he embraced me in that moment when I confessed that to him. And you know, this is like towards the end of 2025, and a few months later, I think this is about December of 2025. He reveals to me, well, so I came across this video about spirit spouses, and I had seen them come up, and I didn't really think too much of it until this time. And there was this one that she was talking about it, and she started explaining some of the symptoms of having a spiritual marriage with a demon, and it hits me like, I think that's what I have going on. You know, she's talking about all these nightmares, getting attacked in your sleep, sexual dreams, you know, all these different things. And I'm like, that's what I've been experiencing for the past 3 years. You know, like I've been getting attacked in my sleep all the time. And so I just asked Yeshua, can you give me the strength um, to reject all that, you know, to overcome it? And I kind of forget about it. And a day or two goes by, and I'm outside with Derek, and we're shooting crossbows. And I end up, I don't know if you know, if you don't know how a crossbow works, there's like I don't even know too much about it, but you got to pull the string back to knock the arrow, and there's a mechanism that you use to pull it back, and you have to step on there's like a handle that you step on, and then you pull you know, you put it on the ground and you step on it and you pull the string back. Well, as I'm doing that, this thing just shoots straight. It like it almost felt like it got kicked out of under my foot, and it shot straight up and hit me right, you know, in the groin, we'll say. And oh man, that was rough. I didn't think too much of it at the time, but then that night, I just thought it was me being stupid. Then that night, I end up having another dream where I got attacked. Demon came in, and I was able to resist it. And I woke up and I remembered that video that I just saw, and I'm like, oh man, that must have been a demon yesterday. That thing was pissed. These things get really jealous when you're about to, you know, separate from them. So over the course of the next 5, 6 nights, I mean, I'm just getting like mauled in my sleep. I'm getting grabbed, I'm getting choked, I'm getting, you know, raped and all kinds of stuff. Sorry to be graphic, but that's what happened. I even started seeing stuff happen in the physical. I was praying next to my bed, and it felt like something jumped on my bed. It felt like a cat like jumped onto my bed next to me. That's how it felt. And I look up and there's nothing there. So there's just all kinds of weird stuff going on. And meanwhile, I'm asking Yeshua, like, can you please help me to, you know, can you please bring this to the Father and ask him to help me to break this, you know, covenant? Because it hit me that when I had agreed to an open relationship with my ex, she had a demon in her, and I was making a covenant with that demon, right? Because sexual immorality, you know, all of that, you know, outside of marriage is one thing. I mean, it's horrible. But then I invited you know, another person into this relationship. We're just sharing in all kinds of demons between the three of us. So I realized I actually made a covenant with this demon through my ex. That was a demon that was talking to me when she asked me if she could sleep with him. So I renounced all that. There was some other things that I had to renounce, and all of a sudden it just stopped. It was like 5-6 days. I'm crying out to Yeshua, and it eventually just completely ceased, and that was it. So he broke that covenant. Now that was December, and here we are in February. So over the course of the last month or so, I keep feeling like I need to record my testimony, my witness of Yeshua, but there's just been this resistance. I mean, even before all this, with the spirit spouse, but I felt like I was ready to after the spirit spouse, but I felt like there was more, like there was something else. I just didn't feel ready. And so I end up a couple of days ago, the hot water heater in the apartment burst, right? And I mean, this is just one of the long list of things that has been going wrong, breaking, you name it. I'm just worn out. All kinds of, I just feel like I'm getting pulled in a million different directions. I'm worn out, and I finally just like crack. I'm like, I go for a drive, and I'm just crying out to Yeshua, please help me to surrender. Please help me to give up control. I can't do this anymore. And I come across this video, and the guy's talking about, don't try to escape your wilderness season. Don't try to escape the waiting. The Father has you there for a reason. Yeshua has you there for a reason. And it hits me. I've been fighting him this whole time. I am trying to do everything in my own strength. I just want to get the apartment done so that I can focus on the narrow way. I need this to be done. I'm going to sell my truck so that I can, buy a cheaper one and pay off my debt. And I'm going to do it all. I'm going to fix it. My timing, you name it. It's all about me. Right. And it just hit me like, oh my gosh, like I'm sitting here praying for, the Father's desire to be done all the time. And then I'm turning around and doing the opposite. And I'm just like, please just help me surrender. I can't do this anymore. Please, whatever the Father's desire is, I want it. Please just help me to be at peace and content with whatever situation I'm in. I don't care if I don't like it, if it's uncomfortable. Please help me to just be at peace with it, and I'm just praying and praying. And so that was just 2-3 days ago. That was Sunday. And the next day I woke up and I just felt so much lighter. I woke up, I said, may the Father's desire be done on this day in my life, all of it. I just want his desire. What do you want me to do today, Yeshua? What can I do? How can I serve you? How do you want me to go about this day? And it just felt so much lighter, and so that, couple days, just the past few days have been so much lighter, and I'm working on stuff and it seems like it's working. My situation hasn't changed at all, but I feel so much more peace about it. I'm not stressing about trying to get this done and that done and the huge list of stuff that I need to fix and this and that. I'm not worried about it. It's gone. And this morning I woke up and I'm in prayer, and I asked Yeshua, how do you want me to spend this day? And immediately my testimony came into my head, recording my testimony. And I said, if this is what you want me to do, absolutely, I'll do it. It's been long overdue. I'm hogging this testimony or being selfish with it. It's your testimony of all the amazing things that you've done in me. And, it needs to be shared, because we all need Yeshua so much. We don't even know how much we need Yeshua. It's like, oh my gosh. And so I just said, can you just show me that you want me to do this today? Like, I know I should do it either way, but like, can you just show me that you want me to do this today? Just so I just would feel more at peace about it, because I feel like there's fear around recording it, and I don't know, there's some resistance, and I don't know why. And I start my day, I have some breakfast, and I come in back into the apartment, and I'm thinking about sitting down and record it. And I say, you know what? It's a really beautiful day out. It's 20 degrees and it's sunny, which is kind of a joke, but it's been like -5, so it feels awesome. And it's beautiful out. I'm like, will you go for a walk with me, Yeshua? And so I take a drive and I'm listening to music on the way. I'm just feeling grateful, feeling joyous. I'm feeling good. And I get there to the place where, I'm going to go for the walk, and it's totally snowed in still. So I'm like, okay, I guess I'm not going for a walk. So I turn around and I'm listening to music on the way back, and this song comes on, and it had come on a couple of days ago, and I liked it, but it didn't hit me like it did this time. And the beginning of it started, and it was an acoustic, and it reminded me so much of music I listened to with my ex. And I just I just started bawling. I just started crying, and I finally gave it to him. I didn't feel safe enough. I don't know. I guess I just didn't feel safe enough with him to give that to him yet. In all these years, even though he's done countless amazing things for me and taken care of me, and I mean, the list is endless. But I finally felt safe enough with him. I trusted him enough to give it to him, and I did. And I pulled up to the house and I just played this song on repeat, and I just cried and I cried and I cried, and I just gave it to him, and I gave her to him, and I said, I don't want to hold on to her anymore. Will you please take her? Will you please help me to let her go? And will you please just fill that space in my heart? I want that to be yours. And I just bawled and bawled and bawled. And eventually I started burping again. And I had this crazy burp come out of me. And then I just started laughing. And I just like feel like total joy come over me. And then I feel one that's like stuck in me. And it finally comes out, this huge burp. And then a third one. And I know he delivered me again. Again. He just keeps healing me. He keeps he's so faithful. He's awesome. And I just knew that I finally let her go. And it was 4 years almost to the day. I don't remember the exact day, but 4 years almost to the day of when she told me that she wanted an open relationship. It was February of 2022. And here we are on February 4th, 2026. And I just I finally let her go. I'm done with that chapter. I'm moving on. I held on to her for so long, and it was like a relationship that it was like my first like real relationship, and I thought I was going to marry this woman, and I couldn't let her go. But Yeshua Yeshua did that for me. He helped me to let her go. And he just held me the whole time and just let me grieve that loss and let her go. And that was today. And I'm just so grateful that she's gone. She's out of my life. I can move on and I can move forward with him and have him at the head of my life, and just follow him, because that's what I want to do. I just want to follow him and allow him to work in and through me in whatever way he wants. And That is my witness and testimony of Yeshua, Jesus. He is the King. He is the King over all of the heavens and the earth. I mean, he's it. He's the only way to the Father. He's the only way to make peace with the Father. He is our mediator. We can only get to the Father through him. And all of those New Age practices are a complete and total lie. They are just the same lie told in the Garden of Eden. You shall be as gods. You don't want to be a god. We're terrible gods. We're not gods. There's one God, and that's the Heavenly Father, Yahweh. And his son, Yeshua, came here in the flesh. He took our sins upon himself. He died and he was resurrected so that we can have true life and be at peace with the Heavenly Father. And he's the only way. And this is the best journey I've ever been on. I mean, it's just, Yeshua is what I've been looking for my entire life. I never knew what that emptiness, that loneliness was, but he's been there the whole time. He's looked out for me. I mean, he must have saved my life that I know about probably 100 times, probably way more than that, because I'm sure there's plenty of times that I have no idea about. I mean, he's just, he's an amazing brother and friend and king, and he deserves everything. He bought and paid for all of us, and it's just, I you have to go down the narrow way. It's the best thing you can ever do. You have to make peace with the Father through Yeshua. It's absolutely life changing, and there is nothing in this world that will fulfill you. There is nothing in this world that will heal you. It is Yeshua. It's all Yeshua, and that is my testimony. And I hope to have more for you in the future. And I thank you all for listening.